I opened my eyes to white walls and beeping machines. My chest felt like someone had placed a concrete block on it. The fluorescent lights above me were too bright, burning into my skull. Where was I? What happened? I tried to sit up, but pain shot through my body like lightning. A monitor beside me beeped faster, louder, matching the panic rising in my throat. Then I heard her voice. Angel. My wife. She was whispering to someone, her voice shaking with fear. I tried to call out to her, but my mouth was dry, my throat tight. I could barely breathe. The beeping got more frantic. A nurse rushed to my side, her face serious and focused. Mr. Max, stay calm. You're in the hospital. You've had a heart attack. The words hit me harder than any physical pain. Heart attack? Me? I was only 34 years old. This couldn't be happening. But the nurse's eyes told me everything. This was real. This was serious. And I had almost died. Angel appeared at my bedside, her face wet with tears. Her hands were shaking as she grabbed mine. Max, you scared me to death, she said, her voice breaking into pieces. You just collapsed. Right there in the living room. You were taking off your shoes and then you just fell. I could see the terror in her eyes, the kind of fear that comes from watching someone you love almost slip away. She wiped her face with the back of her hand. The ambulance came so fast. I thought I was losing you. I wanted to tell her I was sorry, that I didn't mean to scare her, but my voice wouldn't come. A doctor appeared behind her, tall and calm. Mrs. Angel, your husband is stable now, but we found something concerning. Angel turned to him, her face going pale. The signs of strain on his heart didn't start today. This has been building for weeks, maybe longer. My stomach dropped. Weeks. How long had I been ignoring what my body was trying to tell me? The memories came back in pieces, like broken glass cutting through my mind. I remembered standing in our living room, bending down to untie my shoes. My chest had felt tight all day, but I'd ignored it like I always did. Then came the dizziness. The room started spinning slowly at first, then faster and faster. I grabbed the edge of the couch, but my fingers slipped. My vision went blurry, like someone had smeared oil across my eyes. Then darkness. Complete, total darkness. Now, lying in this hospital bed, I remembered other moments too. Moments I'd hidden from Angel. 3 weeks ago, I'd felt the same tightness in my chest while driving home from work. I pulled over, sat in the car, and waited for it to pass. It did, eventually. I never told Angel. 2 weeks ago, I woke up in the middle of the night, sweating and breathless. Angel was asleep beside me. I went to the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face, and went back to bed. I never told her. I'd been hiding this for so long. The memories kept flooding back, pulling me under. I remembered sitting at my laptop late at night, the clock on the wall showing midnight. Angel was already asleep upstairs. My phone buzzed with another email from my manager, Richard. Max, the client rejected the proposal. I need a complete revision by 8 a.m. tomorrow. No excuses. I stared at the screen, my chest aching. I'd already worked 14 hours that day. But I opened the document anyway and started typing. My left arm felt heavy and numb. I rubbed it, thinking it was just tiredness. Around 2 in the morning, I felt that tightness in my chest again, like a belt being pulled tighter and tighter around my ribs. I paused, took a deep breath, and kept working. When Angel's alarm went off at 6, I was still at the desk. She came downstairs and saw me there. Max, did you sleep at all? I lied. Just woke up early to finish something. Before she could ask more questions, I deleted Richard's email from my phone. I didn't want her to worry. The memory of that morning at work played in my mind like a horror movie. I was sitting in the conference room with 8 other people, listening to Richard talk about quarterly targets. My chest started hurting halfway through the meeting. Sharp, stabbing pains that made it hard to focus. I pressed my hand against my chest, trying to make it stop. Nobody noticed. The pain got worse. I felt sweat forming on my forehead. My brother Liam, who worked in the same company, was sitting across from me. He looked at me with concern, his eyebrows raised. I shook my head slightly, signaling I was fine. But I wasn't fine. When Richard finally finished talking, I stood up too quickly. The room tilted. I grabbed the edge of the table to steady myself. "Max, you okay?" someone asked. "Yeah, just need some water." I walked out of the conference room as calmly as I could, even though my legs felt like rubber. In the bathroom, I splashed cold water on my face. My reflection looked back at me, pale and sweating. I told myself it was nothing. Just stress. Just exhaustion. I'd be fine. Now, lying in this hospital bed, I heard voices outside my room. One of them was Liam. He sounded angry. The door opened, and he walked in, his face tight with frustration. Angel stood up, looking between us. "Liam, thank God you're here." Liam didn't look at me right away. He looked at Angel instead. "Did he tell you he almost fainted at work last week?" Angel's head snapped toward me, her eyes wide. "What? Max, what is he talking about?" I tried to speak, but my throat was dry. Liam stepped closer, his voice rising. "I warned you, Max. I told you to slow down. I told you something was wrong. But you told me to mind my own business." Angel's face crumbled. "You nearly fainted at work and you didn't tell me?" I wanted to defend myself, to explain that I didn't want to worry her, but the words felt hollow. Liam shook his head, disappointment written all over his face. "You pushed everyone away, Max. And look where it got you." Angel stood at the foot of my bed, her arms crossed, her face a mixture of hurt and anger. "How long have you been hiding things from me, Max?" I looked down at my hands, unable to meet her eyes. "I didn't want you to worry. I thought I could handle it." "Handle it?" Her voice cracked. "You almost died, Max. You collapsed in our living room. How is that handling it?" I had no answer. The nurse who had been checking my monitors stepped closer. "Mrs. Angel, I know this is difficult, but you should know something. Your husband's heart didn't just suddenly give out. The strain on his heart has been building for weeks, possibly months. The tests we ran show signs of chronic stress and exhaustion." Angel's face went pale. "Months?" The nurse nodded. His body was sending him signals, but it seems he ignored them. Angel turned back to me, tears streaming down her face. "Why, Max? Why didn't you listen?" I wanted to tell her I was scared. Scared of losing my job. Scared of not being enough. But all I could do was close my eyes and let the truth sink in. I had done this to myself. My mind drifted back to the day everything went wrong at work. It was a Tuesday morning. I walked into the office, and Richard was waiting for me at my desk. "Max, good, you're here. I'm reassigning 3 major projects to you. All 3 need to be completed by the end of the week." I stared at him. "Richard, I'm already handling 2 projects. I don't think I can. Are you questioning my decision?" His voice was cold. "Because if you're not committed to this company, maybe we need to reconsider your position here." My heart sank. I needed this job. I needed the income. "No, sir. I'll get it done." He walked away without another word. I sat down at my desk and looked at the pile of work in front of me. 3 projects. 5 days. I skipped breakfast. I skipped lunch. I drank coffee after coffee, trying to keep myself awake and focused. By 3 in the afternoon, my vision started to blur. I rubbed my eyes, thinking it was just the screen brightness. But it didn't go away. My chest felt tight again. I ignored it. I had to keep working. I remembered the buzzing on my wrist. My smartwatch lighting up with an alert. High heart rate detected while sitting. "Are you okay?" I glanced at it and dismissed the notification. I was sitting at my desk, not even moving, but my heart was racing like I'd just run a marathon. My chest tightened again, squeezing harder this time. I gripped the edge of my desk, trying to breathe through it. My colleague at the next desk looked over. "Max, you good?" "Yeah, just tired." The pain got worse. I pressed my hand against my chest, my breathing shallow. I should have left right then. I should have called for help. But I didn't. I convinced myself it would pass. It always did. I opened another document and kept working. My smartwatch buzzed again. Another alert. I turned it off completely. I didn't want to see any more warnings. I didn't want to admit that something was seriously wrong. Looking back now, lying in this hospital bed, I realized how stupid that was. I ignored every single sign. I chose work over my health. And I almost paid for it with my life. Angel's voice pulled me back to the present. Max, do you remember the night I found your painkillers? I did remember. It was about 2 weeks before I collapsed. I'd come home late, exhausted and in pain. I'd taken painkillers and antacids, trying to ease the discomfort in my chest. I thought I'd hidden them in my bag, but Angel had been looking for my phone charger. She found the pills instead. That night, she'd confronted me. Max, why do you have all these pills? Are you sick? I lied. Just a headache. And some indigestion. Nothing serious. She didn't look convinced, but she didn't push further. I should have told her the truth then. Now, lying here in this hospital bed, I realized how much I'd hurt her by keeping secrets. Angel sat down beside me, her face tired and sad. I knew something was wrong, Max. I could feel it. But you kept telling me you were fine. Liam stood at the door, silent and watching. The nurse finished checking my vitals and left the room. The weight of my mistakes pressed down on me harder than any chest pain I'd ever felt. The memories wouldn't stop. I remembered the day Richard called me into his office again. I'd already been working non-stop for weeks. My body was screaming at me to stop, but I kept pushing. Max, sit down. I sat. Richard slid a folder across the desk. I'm adding another project to your workload. It's a big client, and they specifically asked for you. I opened the folder and saw the scope of work. It was massive. Richard, I'm already stretched thin. I don't think I can. You'll figure it out. That's what good employees do. He stared at me, daring me to refuse. I felt dizzy. The room tilted slightly, and I gripped the armrest of the chair. My chest tightened, the now familiar sensation of pain spreading across my ribs. But I smiled. I nodded. Okay, I'll get it done. Richard smiled back, satisfied. Good. I knew I could count on you. I signed the assignment sheet, even though my hand was shaking. I walked out of his office, my legs weak, my chest burning. I knew I was in trouble. I knew something was very wrong. But I kept going anyway. I in the hospital, I tried to sit up. I wanted to prove to everyone, to myself, that I was okay. But the moment I moved, the monitors beside me went crazy. Beeping loudly, alarms blaring. Angel jumped up, panic flooding her face. Max, what's happening? A nurse rushed in, followed by another. Sir, you need to lie back down. Now. I tried to speak, but my chest felt like it was on fire. The pain was worse than before, sharper, more intense. Everyone out, the nurse ordered. He's at risk of another event. Angel grabbed my hand, tears streaming down her face. No, I'm not leaving him. Ma'am, please. We need space to work. Liam pulled Angel gently toward the door. She resisted, but he was stronger. Angel, let them help him. She looked back at me one last time before the door closed. I saw the fear in her eyes, the same fear I'd been running from for weeks. The nurses worked quickly, adjusting my checking the machines. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat painful and heavy. I closed my eyes and prayed I wouldn't die today. Outside my room, the cardiologist was speaking to Angel and Liam. I could hear their voices through the door, muffled but clear enough. Your husband's condition is serious, the doctor said. Chronic stress can damage the heart just as much as smoking or high cholesterol. Angel's voice was shaky. But he's so young. How did this happen? Stress releases hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. When the body is under constant pressure, these hormones stay elevated. Over time, they damage the heart muscle, raise blood pressure, and increase the risk of a heart attack. Liam asked, "Can he recover?" Yes, but only if he makes significant lifestyle changes. If he continues the way he was living, another event is almost certain. And next time it could be fatal. I heard Angel sob. The sound broke something inside me. I had done this to her. I had put her through this nightmare. The doctor continued, Max's tests show extreme physical exhaustion. His body was shutting down. He ignored every warning sign. Liam's voice was quiet. He's always been like that. Stubborn. Pushes himself too hard. The doctor sighed. Well, he can't do that anymore. Not if he wants to live. The door opened, and Liam walked in alone. He sat down in the chair beside my bed, his face heavy with guilt. Max, I need to tell you something. I looked at him, waiting. I tried to help you at work. I tried to talk to Richard, to get him to ease your workload. But you told me to stay out of it. You said you didn't need my help. I remembered that conversation. I'd been defensive and angry. I didn't want anyone thinking I couldn't handle the pressure. I'm sorry, Liam. He shook his head. Do you remember the day you collapsed in the restroom at work? My eyes widened. You knew about that? I came in right after you left. Someone told me you looked sick. I checked on you later, but you said you were fine. I closed my eyes, ashamed. I had lied to everyone, even my own brother. Liam's voice dropped lower. I should have pushed harder. I should have told Angel. But I thought you'd hate me for it. I wouldn't have hated you. Yes, you would have. You were so determined to prove you could handle everything on your own. The memory of that day in the restroom hit me like a truck. It was about 3 weeks before I collapsed at home. I was at work, feeling that familiar tightness in my chest. It got worse and worse until I couldn't breathe properly. I stumbled to the restroom, locked myself in a stall, and sat down on the floor. My chest felt like it was being crushed. Cold sweat dripped down my face. My vision went dark around the edges. I thought I was dying right there, on the cold bathroom floor at work. I sat there for what felt like forever, waiting for the pain to pass. Eventually it did. My breathing slowed. The tightness eased. I stood up, washed my face, and checked my reflection in the mirror. I looked terrible, pale, sweating, exhausted. But I couldn't leave. I had too much work to do. As I was drying my hands, someone knocked on the door. Max, you in there? It was a co-worker. Yeah, just dropped my phone. I lied easily. Too easily. I walked out, went back to my desk, and kept working like nothing had happened. That was the moment I should have asked for help. But I didn't. Angel sat beside my bed, her eyes red and swollen from crying. Max, I feel like I failed you. I shook my head. No, Angel. This isn't your fault. But I should have noticed. I should have seen the signs. You were working late every night. You stopped eating properly. You looked exhausted all the time. And I just let you keep going. Her voice broke. I should have forced you to go to the doctor. The nurse who had been monitoring me stepped closer and spoke gently. Mrs. Angel, you can't blame yourself. Many people ignore symptoms until it's too late. Your husband hid his condition well. Angel wiped her tears. But he almost didn't make it. The paramedic told me that if I'd waited even 5 more minutes to call the ambulance, he might have died. Those words hung in the air like a dark cloud. 5 more minutes. That's how close I'd come to leaving Angel alone. To leaving everything behind. I reached for her hand, and she held it tightly. I'm so sorry, Angel. I'm sorry for lying to you. I'm sorry for scaring you. I'm sorry for everything. The doctor came back into the room, his face serious but kind. Angel and Liam stood up, waiting to hear what he had to say. Max, I need you to be honest with me. How long have you been experiencing chest pain? I swallowed hard. A few weeks. Maybe a month. And you didn't think to see a doctor? I thought it was just stress. I thought it would go away. The doctor sighed. Max, stress doesn't just go away. It builds up. And in your case, it built up to the point where your heart couldn't take it anymore. Liam crossed his arms. What would have happened if he kept ignoring it? He would have died. Either from another heart attack or from heart failure. Angel gasped, covering her mouth with her hand. The doctor looked at me. Max, you need to understand something. You didn't just have a bad day. You put yourself in danger for weeks, maybe months. Your body was screaming at you to stop, and you ignored it. I felt tears building in my eyes. I was scared. Scared of losing my job. Scared of not being enough. And now you almost lost your life. Was it worth it? The doctor sat down and looked at all of us. Max, your heart attack could have been prevented. Those words hit me harder than anything else. Prevented? What do you mean? I asked. You had warning signs. Chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, dizziness. If you had come to see me even 2 weeks ago, we could have run tests, adjusted your lifestyle, and prevented this from happening. I felt a wave of regret crash over me. All of this pain, all of this fear, could have been avoided. Why didn't you come in, Max? The doctor asked. I thought I could handle it. I thought if I just pushed through, it would get better. But it didn't get better. It got worse. I nodded, tears streaming down my face. Angel squeezed my hand. What happens now? She asked the doctor. Now, Max needs to make serious changes. If he doesn't, another heart attack is almost guaranteed. And next time, he might not survive. Liam looked at me, his eyes filled with worry. Max, you have to change. You have to. I nodded. I will. I promise. The doctor pulled up a chair and began explaining everything in detail. Max, let me tell you exactly what caused your heart attack. It wasn't just one thing. It was a combination of factors that built up over time. He started listing them. First, chronic stress. When you're under constant pressure, your body releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones increase your heart rate and blood pressure. Over weeks and months, they damage your heart. I listened carefully, finally understanding what I'd done to myself. Second, poor sleep. You were working late into the night, sleeping only a few hours. Sleep is when your body repairs itself. Without it, your heart weakens. Angel looked at me, her face sad. The doctor continued. Third, skipped meals. You weren't eating regularly, so your body wasn't getting the nutrients it needed. This caused your blood sugar to spike and drop, putting more stress on your heart. He paused. Fourth, dehydration. You were drinking coffee all day but not enough water. Dehydration makes your blood thicker, forcing your heart to work harder. Liam shook his head, frustrated. The doctor's voice became more serious. And finally, you ignored every warning sign. Your body told you something was wrong, but you kept pushing. That's what nearly killed you. The room was quiet for a long moment. Then I spoke. I want to change. I don't want to live like that anymore. Angel looked at me, hope flickering in her eyes. Do you mean it, Max? Yes, I mean it. I can't keep doing this. I almost lost everything. Liam stepped closer. Max, I'll help you. Whatever you need. Angel nodded. Me too. But you have to be honest with us from now on. No more hiding things. I promise. No more secrets. The doctor stood up. That's good to hear, Max. Because the changes you need to make aren't optional. They're necessary for your survival. He handed me a folder. This contains information on heart-healthy diets, exercise plans, and stress management techniques. You need to follow all of it. I took the folder, my hands shaking slightly. I will. I'll schedule a follow-up appointment in 2 weeks. We'll run more tests and see how you're doing. He looked at Angel and Liam. And you two need to support him. Recovery isn't easy, but it's possible. They both nodded. As the doctor left, I looked at Angel and Liam. Thank you for not giving up on me. The next morning, the doctor came back with my final evaluation. Angel and Liam were already in the room, sitting beside me. Max, I have your test results. My heart raced with anxiety. The good news is that your arteries aren't blocked. You didn't have a blockage-related heart attack. I felt a wave of relief. So what caused it? You had what we call a stress-induced heart attack, also known as Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. It happens when extreme stress causes part of your heart to weaken temporarily. Angel leaned forward. Temporarily? So he'll recover. Yes, with the right treatment and lifestyle changes, his heart can heal. But here's the critical part. The doctor's voice became stern. If Max returns to his old habits, If he goes back to overworking, ignoring his health, and living under constant stress, another event is not just possible. It's almost certain. And next time, it could be fatal. The weight of those words settled over all of us. Fatal. I could die if I didn't change. Max, you have a second chance. Most people don't get that. Don't waste it. I nodded, tears filling my eyes again. I won't. I promise. Over the next few days, I made decisions I should have made months ago. I wrote my resignation letter to the company. Angel was worried at first. Max, are we going to be okay financially? We'll figure it out. I'd rather be alive and broke than dead and rich. Liam offered to help me find a less stressful job. There are companies that actually care about their employees, Max. You just have to look. I also started seeing a therapist. The doctor recommended it, and I agreed. I needed to understand why I pushed myself so hard, why I valued work more than my own health. Angel came with me to the first session. The therapist asked me hard questions. Max, why do you think you ignored the warning signs? Because I was afraid. Afraid of failing. Afraid of not being good enough. And where did that fear come from? I thought about it. From my father. He always told me that men who don't work hard are worthless. The therapist nodded. And do you believe that? I paused. I used to. But now I think survival is more important than success. Angel squeezed my hand. It was the start of a long journey, but I was finally ready to walk it. The doctor gave me a detailed list of risk factors that can lead to heart attacks. I read through it carefully, realizing how many applied to me. High blood pressure. I'd never checked mine regularly. High cholesterol. I ate fast food almost every day. Diabetes. My grandfather had it. Family history mattered. Sedentary lifestyle. I sat at a desk for 12 hours a day. Chronic stress. That was the big one. Overwork. Another big one. Poor sleep. I barely slept 4 hours a night. Smoking and alcohol. I didn't smoke, but I drank often to cope with stress. Unrecognized symptoms. I ignored every single warning sign. The doctor explained each one. Max, these aren't just statistics. They're real dangers. And the more risk factors you have, the higher your chance of having a heart attack. He pointed to the list. The good news is that most of these can be controlled. You can't change your family history, but you can change your lifestyle. I felt hopeful for the first time in weeks. If I could control these factors, I could prevent another heart attack. I could live. The doctor then gave me a prevention plan, based on international medical guidelines. Max, here's what you need to do moving forward. First, regular checkups. You need to see a cardiologist every 3 months for the first year. After that, we'll decide how often. Second, a heart-healthy diet. More vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and lean proteins. Less salt, sugar, and processed foods. Third, exercise. Start slow. Walking for 20 minutes a day. Gradually increase as your heart gets stronger. Fourth, stress management. Therapy, meditation, deep breathing exercises. Find what works for you and do it daily. Fifth, adequate sleep. 7 to 8 hours every night. No excuses. Sixth, recognize warning signs. If you feel chest pain, shortness of breath, or dizziness, don't ignore it. Come to the hospital immediately. Finally, work-life balance. Find a job that doesn't destroy your health. Set boundaries. Say no when you need to. I wrote everything down. Angel took pictures of the list. We're going to follow this together, she said. I smiled. For the first time in months, I felt like I had a future worth living for. The doctor's final lesson was the most important. Max, if this ever happens again, or if it happens to someone you love, here's what you need to do. He explained the first aid steps clearly. First, call emergency services immediately. Don't wait. Don't try to drive yourself to the hospital. Second, keep the person calm and seated. Lying down can sometimes make it worse. Third, loosen any tight clothing around the chest and neck. Fourth, if the person isn't allergic and it's safe, Give them aspirin. It can help thin the blood. 5th, monitor their breathing. If they stop breathing, you'll need to start CPR. 6th, if there's an AED nearby, use it. Those machines can restart the heart. 7th, stay with the person until help arrives. Keep them talking if they're conscious. I listened carefully, memorizing every step. Angel did the same. Knowledge can save lives, the doctor said. You were lucky, Max. Your wife acted fast. That's why you're still here. I looked at Angel, tears in my eyes. Thank you for saving my life. She smiled through her tears. I'll always save you, Max. Always. I left the hospital 3 days later, a different man. I had a second chance at life, and I wasn't going to waste it. If you like more of this kind of stories, please like and subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned for the next.